Northeast of Lake Owanjila and above the S in Strawberry, as soon as you get to Chapter 2, you have the opportunity to investigate one of the greatest mysteries in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yep.
If you are new to this channel, greetings! I'm your friendly neighbor Superantonio, and please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you would enjoy seeing more of my Red Dead Redemption 2 content.
Well, what's eating you, partner?
Eating me?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'll dry up.
What?
See,
And here is Francis Sinclair, one of the most interesting characters in the game. Note his red hair and birthmark on his face. Do you know who also has a birthmark on their face? The missing princess, and also the descendants of Kraft from the Epsilon program in GTA 5. I'm not saying that these events are connected, but it is an intriguing coincidence. I suppose if we were a different channel, I could make a video entitled, Mystery Solved! Is the missing princess a time traveler from GTA 5? But that's not what this channel is about. Moving on.
Hey, can I ask you a strange question? I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but I'm on the level.
I don't have a clue what you just said.
Well, I'm sorry, sport.
Also note Francis's wardrobe. Pay particular attention to the V-neck sweater. We shall be seeing that again. Francis seems, along with his fashion, vernacular, and slang, to be from the 1920s. Perhaps he is simply ahead of his time, or perhaps he is out of his time.
There's these funny rock carvings. They look a bit like this.
Okay.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I sort of really badly have to find all of them. Now, it's sort of a puzzle thingamy. I know, it sounds ridiculous, but I'm on the up and up, and it's really important.
Little rock carvings.
Yeah, exactly, little rock carvings.
What do you want to do with them?
Well, it's sort of very complicated, and you'll think I'm jazzed if I tell you.
You're what?
Drunk?
Are you?
No, I wish. No, I'm, lost. It's a long story. Can you find the carvings?
I have no idea.
Well, I sort of need them. Hey, listen, if you find them, I'll pay you handsomely. Send me details, if you can. Here's my card.
And if I can't?
Well, I'm sure you can, sport. I'm sure you can. Francis Sinclair.
Arthur Morgan.
Pleasure.
I don't understand. Why do you need these things?
Well, I told you. If I told you, you'd think I was on the hooch.
The what?
I'm gonna have a lie down. I don't feel very well. And neither would you if... but, hey, what harm could it do?
What a lunatic.
Okay, we better get to work. Those rock carvings aren't going to find themselves. And his business card. Note the logo, an hourglass with wings. Time flies. And in Francis's case, in both directions. And here are all of the locations. You can pause and screen cap here if you so desire. Also, on the subject of time travel and timestamps, I understand that they are very convenient for you. I, however, cannot be bothered. I want you to watch the whole video for entertainment as well as information. But if one of you wants to go through the video and drop timestamps in a comment, I'll probably pin it, and you will have my eternal gratitude. Let's move on. I like to imagine that all of these carvings appeared at once, and there is a pattern here, if only I can see it. Here is the path if you follow the carvings in the order the game lists them. And here is the route I would take if I wanted to get this done in one session. We will be discovering these rock carvings in game order, because I believe it tells more of a story that way. The first of Francis Sinclair's rock carvings is at the top of Mount Hagen. Dress warm. And the map. We are just off the trail. Triangulate between the M of Mount Hagen and the two Z's of the Grizzlies. What do we have here? an airship, and what looks like one of the spires from the Statue of Liberty, or maybe the Empire State Building, flanked by perhaps a couple building corners, some sort of structure. Also note these circular carvings, which may be already in the rock wall, or they may indicate smoke or clouds. Perhaps those buildings are on fire. It seems to indicate a disaster of some kind. Moving on. Rock carving number 2 is north of Window Rock at the top of the map.
Let's go, girl.
We need to go right about here, Wymyard Strait.
Yeah. Hi there, mister.
We need to cross this bridge. And then take a little hike. Here we go. And the map. We are on the H of Wymyard Strait, between Shea Porter and Kortora Springs. I bet Edie went here all of the time, to get away from her annoying brother cousins. And this is obviously Francis. Note the V-neck sweater. Flanked by 2 fronds, or perhaps water spouts. And then we have this curved structure over here, where Francis is extending his arm, as if emerging from a doorway of sorts. A circular doorway, a stargate, or perhaps a time portal. The third rock carving is below Bacchus Station. I apologize for the rain. It makes things slippery, so take care. Here we go. A winged man, Icarus, or perhaps an angel. Icarus flew too close to the sun and fell to his death, as you will no doubt recall. Here is our exact location, north of Fort Wallace and between the B and the S of Bacchus Station. We returned with some better weather. Let's investigate further. And the map. Perhaps those are not wings and this is some kind of cataclysmic wave behind him. The wings are not symmetrical. They could be waves, and his arms may be raised because he is warning us. I do like the idea that he's from the future, warning us of some future event. His face is indistinct, but I do not think this is Francis. This is someone else. His torso, arms, and hands appear to be elongated, and his head seems to be shaved. He looks as if he's from the future. Perhaps he is an engineer from Alien Covenant, which would make him from the past, but that's time travel for you. Look at that abyss. Arthur wants to know what would happen if we threw a dynamite stick down there. For science. Well, you know what they say, friends. When you throw a dynamite stick into the abyss, sometimes the abyss throws a dynamite stick into you. Let's move on. Rock carving number 4 is in the Cumberland Forest on the Dakota River, or rather above it, more or less. Arthur has a general idea where we are. We need to go down this cliff. Here we go. And here is our exact location. South of Window Rock and west of 6 Point Cabin. Triangulate between the R of Window Rock, the R of the Dakota River, and the C of Cumberland Forest. And watch your step. And this is one of my favorite rock carvings. From left to right, we have an atomic symbol, a mushroom cloud, some buildings, and then what looks to me like, once more, the crown from the Statue of Liberty. Although a case could also be made for the spire of the Empire State Building. The Statue of Liberty was erected in 1883, so it already exists in 1899, although this carving seems to depict some future event. Perhaps even a nuclear war or disaster. Also note this atom. What's that about? I made a community post on the channel page and asked, are there any chemists, physicists, scientists lurking in the comments? Does this represent an actual atomic structure? Asking for a friend who may be making a video. And we got some replies. Tomb Prospector Vulcan, love that username, wrote, it has 3 rings indicating 3 orbiting electrons, and elements tend to have an equal number of electrons as protons. So we can assume in the nucleus there is 3 protons, also which would make this lithium, although because of how simple the design is, most likely just supposed to be symbolic of an atom and not actually representative of a specific atom/element. Ed S. wrote, no, the electrons don't actually follow any orbit like in the classical depiction here, but rather in a sort of cloud of non-location. That is, until you want to observe its location. And Glynis C., who has actual real-life horses, which you will be seeing in the forthcoming viewer horse video, writes, it's the atomic structure of a single atom, my husband says. Good to know. Moving on. This also has a little of a Planet of the Apes vibe to me. I'm talking about the original 1968 movie, of course, not the CGI remakes. I love video games, but I hate CGI in movies. 2 things can be true at once. We return to Lake Owanjila for the 5th carving, which really should be the first carving, given its proximity to Francis Sinclair's cabin. Watch out for snakes. So irritating.
Oh, shit.
And what happened to our hat? We cannot proceed without the hat. Also, do we have any ginseng, which will counter the poisoning? Okay, where were we? Here we go. And the map. We are underneath the O of Lake Owanjila on the west side. Watch out for snakes and cougars. So we have some interlocking circles. Note this figure on the left. Is this Francis stepping through another stargate or time portal? Is he stepping into the past or the future? I would vote for the future, as these other circular features look like giant gears, wheels of industry. Very reminiscent of a Chaplin silent movie, Modern Times, from 1936. Modern Times is a 1936 American silent comedy film written and directed by Charlie Chaplin, in which his iconic Little Tramp character struggles to survive in the modern industrialized world. The film is a commentary on the desperate employment and financial conditions many people faced during the Great Depression, conditions created, in Chaplin's view, by the efficiencies of modern industrialization. The movie stars Chaplin, Paulette Goddard, Henry Berkman, Tiny Sanford, and Chester Conklin. It is notable for being the last time that Chaplin portrayed the tramp character, and for being the first time Chaplin's voice is heard on film. Doesn't really tell us much, except that it's another vision of the future. And from what we can infer from the other carvings, a warning. What's this joker up to?
Hey there, partner.
Good afternoon, sir. Routine rock carving inspection. Regrettably, he knows nothing about Francis Sinclair or rock carvings or time travel. He does have a nice dog, however. Let's move on. We are up in the mountains again, this time for rock carving number 6 at Mount Shan.
Easy.
And what's this giant skeleton? This has to be a Bigfoot. He's a long way from tall trees. Guess he ran out of babies to eat. Or is it berries? Arthur can never remember. Arthur will inspect and sketch a very competent, if not professional, illustration. And he writes, found a massive skeleton. Wonder how big this man was, or if he was a man at all. Here is our location on the top of the T of West Elizabeth.
Yep.
And we are very close to our destination. There's a rock carving around here somewhere. And the map by the T of West Elizabeth, south of the Bigfoot skeleton. A DNA strand and a rocket ship. Rocket Man, burning out his fuse, up here alone. Rocket Man has to be my favorite Elton John song. If you don't know it, I highly recommend it. And are there any biochemists watching? Is there anything special or significant about that strand? Again, going with the flood or disaster theory, that looks like the giant wave to the right. And then we have the DNA strand, a literal ladder, and then a rocket ship. A ladder to the stars, presumably escaping the planet. What could it mean? Did we send DNA samples into space to save humanity? Are they going to Mars? Does Francis Sinclair know Elon Musk? Mars ain't the place to raise your kids. In fact, it's cold as hell. Moving on.
There, girl.
For lucky number 7, we need to go north of Flat Neck Station.
Yep.
Here we go. We have a cart, some oxen, a bolt of lightning, a blazing sun, and under here we have a figure, perhaps swimming, perhaps emerging from a time travel portal. Looking at you, Francis. Also these 4-pointed stars. Why not 5? Is this a Chelonian reference? Or the Epsilon program from Grand Theft Auto? Epsilon is the 5th letter of the Greek alphabet, Delta is number 4. That would have dovetailed quite elegantly if this were a 5-pointed star. And then over here we have either a sack of grain or a tablet with writing on it. Sadly, they are just lines, so really implied writing. And the map, south of Limpany and northeast of Flat Neck Station. This rock carving seems to reference an incident near Rio del Lobo Rock in New Austin. Let's check in with Marston and the Tiger Stripe Mustang. Here we have a crashed wagon with some barbecued baby back ribs. And also a blast radius. Still smoking in 1907, but you know, time travel. Time is not linear in New Austin. We cannot loot the occupants. And the map in case you care to investigate. We are south of the eye of Rio del Lobo Rock. Is the wagon essential to time travel for Francis, or did it just get sucked in with him and shot out in New Austin? It is a Red Dead mystery. Let's move on.
Okay, my girl. You all right, girl?
The 8th rock carving is south of Moonstone Pond. And here is our exact location. Triangulate between the D of Moonstone Pond and the N and the O of New Hanover. Let's investigate. We have a pyramid. Very interesting. And what's this? That's either the rays of a sun, or perhaps some sort of vehicle or satellite. Or maybe just a potato with 3 chopsticks. And to our left we have a frond or a water spout. I'm going to go with water spout because look at this sphere hovering above it. And then we have this leg stepping through this circular doorway, another time portal. It has to be Francis, note the Argyle socks, very popular in the 1920s. He is stepping into the past, towards the pyramid. What could be the significance of ancient Egypt and the mysteries of the pyramid? Perhaps Francis needed to go back to ancient Egypt to collect an artifact the future needed, the Staff of Ra. And what a great DLC that would have made if Arthur had to time travel to collect these items, instead of just finding these random rock carvings. This may be the start of the time vortex, perhaps a power source. And the pyramid implies 2 things, ancient Egypt and alien technology. Because we all know the pyramids were built by aliens. Not really, that's sarcasm. Sarcasm and nuance are wasted on the internet. Unsure what's going on with the potato, however. Let's move on.
Yeah.
The 9th rock carving is one of my favorites and is located in Roanoke Ridge, ironically one of my least favorite areas on the map. You can spot it with eagle eye. A little bit of climbing is involved. And the map. We are between Deer Cottage and the end of Roanoke Ridge, deep in Murphy Brood territory. There is so much going on in this carving, it is by far the most intact one of the group. It looks as if Francis from the future is stepping through into the past. Here's Francis Sinclair, and look at this meteor. And then the satellite or UFO, or the potato with 3 chopsticks, returns. We have this ancient warrior with shield and spear, perhaps a Greek or a Trojan. And then we have the Sphinx, ancient Egypt, a popular theme in these carvings. And who is this? Who is this face and profile? It kinda looks like Abraham Lincoln. However, I cannot say for certain. And an ancient Greek or perhaps Phoenician ship. And then note these circles above the ship. Could they be wagon wheels? They look like wagon wheels to me. The meteor seems to be coming from this wagon, or perhaps the ancient world interpreted Francis's arrival and a wagon falling out of the sky as a meteor. They fell from the stars. There's so much in this carving, it tells a story. Sadly, we do not know what that story is, so we have to make up one ourselves. Moving on.
You done good, girl. Yeah.
The final rock carving, or the 10th, is located east of the Elysian Pool. Don't drink the water. Here we go. And the map. We are between the E and the R of New Hanover, and just east of the N of the Elysian Pool. And look how close the trapper is. I bet he knows all about this carving. And number 10 has a man and a woman, and another one of those wheels of industry. 2 lightning bolts represent a storm, or perhaps an impending natural disaster. And it appears as if the woman is holding back the storm, or repelling it with her powers from the future. The man is clean-shaven, his hair is swept back. He's looking forward, towards the future. Here's the lady again. Calm down, she's saying. I got this. Indeed you do, madam. Let's move on.
Giddy up. Yeah.
Okay, now we need to mail off all of those locations. Also, how did Arthur annotate those rock carvings? Did he draw a map, or is it just a bunch of vague directions? And how would Francis know, unless he went there and checked it out himself? Something to think about.
Good to see you back, sir. What do you got for me today? You have my word, this will reach where you want it to go.
Here we are, all in one piece, too.
Thanks for that.
However, the location's checked out in 24 hours, we can check the mail.
Sheriff? Hello?
Well, back at last. I thought you might have hightailed it yonder.
We get a rock statue, some Kentucky bourbon, and an invitation from Francis Sinclair. Look at that gorgeous handwriting. That is a dying art. Do we have time to read his letter? I think we do. Invitation from Francis Sinclair. Dear Sir, you would think he would have said, "Hello, chum. The carvings, you've found the last of them. Oh, wait until I show you what I've pieced together. You'll think I'm a bit buttered. Please do not dally, I'm traveling soon and don't want to miss you. See you at my home a bit north of the midway point between Owanjila Lake and Strawberry. Yours truly, Francis Sinclair." Okay, let's go see Francis. And here is a closer look at Francis's rock carving statue. Or rather, the only look you will get at Francis's rock carving statue. Reminds me of a dream catcher. I wish it had more significance. Regrettably, I could not find any. Walk into the cutscene and see what happens.
Hello? Hello, Mr. Sinclair?
This is interesting. Francis has been busy.
Huh?
Oh, hello? Can I help you?
And who is this nice lady? Good afternoon, madam. Routine time travel inspection.
Oh, I'm sorry for intruding. Mrs. Sinclair?
Yes? How did you know?
I'm looking for your husband.
My husband?
Yeah.
He's dead. He's been dead since just before Francis was born 1 year ago.
Your husband, Francis, is dead?
No, this is Francis. My husband, Tom, is dead.
I'm a little confused.
Yes, I think you are. What was your name?
That's not important. Excuse me.
Okay, thoughts. Francis was perhaps in his mid-20s and he was a newborn in 1899, so he went back about 25 years. Also, that's the old brass compass, which we need to craft the Ravenclaw Talisman. The Ravenclaw Talisman decreases weapon degradation by 20%. At any rate, Arthur found all of the rock carvings and Francis compiled them into some semblance of order. We have the past on the right and the future on the left, and Francis in the middle, with the time portal, or Stargate. Also note the man with the birthmark above. This may be an older, future version of Francis, or someone else entirely. We see Francis stepping into the past with ancient Egypt and the pyramid. The Sphinx, and note the head opposite of him has a birthmark. Is this Francis? We have the four-pointed star and the comet. Also the wagon, pre-barbecue. And on the opposite end we have the future, the gears of industry, the Empire State Building and the airship. Also, the mushroom cloud. And note these three versions of Francis stepping through the portal. Here he is stepping into the gateway. And in the center, 1 foot in and 1 foot out. 1 foot in the past and 1 foot in the future. And then up here, stepping out of the Stargate and into the past. The center Francis is largest because it implies he can go either way, to the past or the future. Time is elastic for Francis Sinclair, it bends and twists, and Arthur went back to the future, just to help him. Superantonio. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your views. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell for daily Red Dead Redemption 2 content, and we shall meet again. Further on down the trail.